going to talk today about police brutality cases, excessive force is what we refer to them as, taser cases. And as a preliminary matter, let's just describe what we're talking about. Police officers go by the book. They are taught the book, they read the book, they roll call, they hear all these rules and regulations. It's very easy and very important for you to get the police officers in an excessive force case to acknowledge and admit to the standard of care that applies to their conduct. So we come into these cases with an enormous burden of shifting the balance of popularity in favor of our client. Mark Tanner once had a line about some surgical device that was overused in a certain procedure, and he used the term, I think in an opening, give a kid a hammer and soon everything is a nail. And the taser, or the electronic control weapon, and I underline the word weapon. This is a device that has been developed by companies to provide just a little bit less than deadly force. I don't ever want to call it a taser in any of my cases. Taser sounds like laser. Laser reminds people of laser tag and other innocuous games. It is a potentially deadly weapon. Over 500 people have been killed by the indiscriminate use of these weapons when being subdued by the police. Excessive force cases is a different standard. It requires what the law mandates, an objective standard of reasonableness. And objectivity, like beauty, is many times in the eyes of the beholder. And it's a hard case to win without good pretrial discovery. So without further ado, I want to introduce my partner, Tom Martin, who's going to talk about the Baum case, in which you will see the horrific effects that these electronic control weapons can inflict when improperly used by police officers.
Craig Baum is a young man who made a lot of really bad decisions in his life. And on September 20th, 2009, he made a really bad decision that, as a consequence, left him an unresponsive quadriplegic. Craig was a heroin user, and on this night, he was with his girlfriend, also a heroin user, and they had scored some drugs and were driving in the borough of Portage, Pennsylvania. One of those officers saw the car swerving, stopped it. According to the reports, they got permission from both the driver, the woman, and Craig Baum to voluntarily submit to a search. The woman was searched, and she was found to have on her possession drugs. And then they were bringing Craig into the station, ostensibly to conduct this voluntary search. And here's where he made a bad decision. He decided he didn't want to go into the police station. Now, he wasn't handcuffed, he hadn't been arrested, hadn't been read his rights, and he just turned and took off down the street. The cop pulled out his taser, hit him in the back. Craig pitched forward into the street, hitting his head and resulting in massive brain injury, and the result is the quadriplegic condition that he's in today. The only possible claim against the police officers is under Section 1983, which provides that if you are damaged as a result of a violation of your constitutional rights, you can recover for those damages. The Fourth Amendment provides that you can't be subject to unreasonable searches and seizures, and that's been interpreted by courts for a long time now as including you can't be restrained or arrested by the use of unreasonable force by the police department. The police face a situation where if they don't restrain the person, somebody's going to get hurt or get killed. They're entitled to use all force up to deadly force. So in the taser cases, there's a lot of decisions that talk about what is the level of force of using a taser to disable somebody. And there are cases that say, well, it's a relatively minor use of force. That's from somebody who's never been tased, I think. This is a recent decision out of the Ninth Circuit, and they very clearly state that the taser is a serious intrusion into the person, talking about the central nervous system, paralyzing, and the excruciating pain that goes with it. And so they say this is a significant level of force that must be justified by the governmental interest involved. Obviously, the case has a lot of obstacles in front of it. The client is not necessarily the most sympathetic person, at least up until the point where this happened. His life had not been that way. But what we found in looking at it is that there are very clear guidelines published by the Department of Justice which indicate that you should never use a taser to subdue somebody who's running away. Why? Well, for exactly the reason that caused Craig Baum to be in the condition he is in today. By design, the taser immobilizes a person, drops them like a sack of potatoes. If you go on YouTube, you can see a lot of videos of people having fun, being macho, getting tased on purpose. But the important thing is, in every one you'll see, there are two people standing next to the person who's going to be hit by the taser to hold them up, because they know that that electronic current going through the muscles is going to drop the person. So when you do that to somebody who's running away, somebody's going to get hurt. It's not appropriate according to the Department of Justice standards, and it's not appropriate according to the warnings of taser. 2007, John Kerry was running for president. He was speaking at the University of Miami, and one of the students there started to ask him some tough questions. I don't know what caused the police to intervene, but you see this, you'll see what happened.
Also, were you a member of Stolen Road, College, Bush? Were you in the same secret society?
Asked him if he was a member of Stolen Bone, the same club.
You'll be tasing if you not go all walk out of here. I didn't do anything. Don't tase me, bro. Don't tase me. I didn't do anything. Ow! 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 What did I do?
The guidelines and taser itself says you should never use the stun mode to try and restrain somebody, because it really has the opposite effect. It's going to escalate the situation. Apparently, the police at the University of Miami weren't aware of that. So thank you for your attention.